the conflict between Christianity and Islam can't be ignored anymore. I think that's where we're at.
You view it as a religious conflict. You think it's a religious conflict.
Good versus evil.
Good versus evil.
Plain and simple.
I guess that I just don't see why this war furthers American interests. Oil prices are going up. I mean, you say that we control the Strait of Hormuz,
They just dropped.
We don't.
They came down now. They came
down from a high point to a higher than it was before the start of this conflict. I mean, we're going to be pushing $100 a barrel.
And they're going to continue. They're going to continue to come down. No, I think that's entirely the goal, is to displace this regime.
So you'll support a ground war in Iran. You'll support your president if he decides to do that.
Yeah.
Is there any critique you have of the current political climate, the Trumpian policies?
Whenever he was talking about no tax on overtime.
Oh, yeah.
I believed that what that meant was that at the end of the week, you weren't going to get taxed on your overtime anymore. But no, what it turned out to be was more time filling out paperwork.
Did you think?
I don't like that.
Look who it is. Look who it is. How you doing, my brother?
What's going on, Pisco?
Yo, let's go. Why did you send me pictures of your truck, dude?
That's what I'm doing now.
That's what you're doing?
Yeah.
You're selling trucks, or you're taking pictures of trucks?
No. Well, I escort oversized loads out on the highway.
You escort them?
Yeah.
What is just like the American Navy is escorting all those ships past the Strait of Hormuz, right? That's what they're doing.
Something similar, right?
Well, welcome back, guys. Do you not know who this is? This is CTV, also known as Critically Thinking Veteran, also known as The Wolf, also known as the founder of the Wolf Pack. Used to do nuclear submarines. You used to do that, right?
Yeah, that's
me.
And
loves marijuana and having a good time and debating politics.
Well, I would say as a medical marijuana patient. So.
Oh, okay, got it. That makes it different, of course. That makes it different. Hey, tell me what's going on, brother. You've been sorry I missed a bunch of your messages. I get a lot of messages, but it's really good for us to catch up like this. And I want to know your thoughts on what's going on, what's happening, what's in the world. What are your musings on the?
Well, you mentioned Iran, so we can talk about that right off the bat.
Yeah, I want to know what a veteran thinks, a veteran who has maybe some experience in the high seas, because a lot of this is on the water, a lot of it's with the Air Force. But yeah, give us your thoughts on what's going on in Iran.
I think that the conflict between Christianity and Islam can't be ignored anymore. I think that's where we're at.
You view it as a religious conflict. You think it's a religious conflict.
I think the whole world is wrapped up in this.
All right, say more about it. So it's a religious conflict. It's a battle of religious identity, of civilization. What do you want to call it?
Good versus evil.
Good versus evil.
Plain and simple. Good versus evil. And the evidence is right there on the table for everybody to see, especially when it comes to Iran.
All right.
They've been a terrorist regime for 47 years, right? Almost my whole life. Well, no, actually my whole life. Yeah. Because I turned 43 this month, right?
Happy birthday.
So my whole life, thank you, this Islamic regime has been terrorizing the world, right? And I'm not sure exactly about all of the ties with the people, right? But I am quite certain that Ayatollah Khamenei, either indirectly or directly, was helping Osama bin Laden, right? Or anybody else that was willing to do any type of terrorist activities against the United States. Period. That's what I believe. And I think that the record speaks to that. So
let me offer some respectful pushback. And I know you're dealing with this at a high level. And so I want to, this is me putting some facts out there. You can deal with them however you want to deal with them. Some facts, which I understand to be facts. One of the major targets of Iran in the aftermath of this war have been Gulf states, which are Muslim and which are more connected in the sense of direct. A lot of the 9/11 bombers and Al Qaeda are more likely to be Sunni Muslims, and some of them actually came from Saudi Arabia, even though they were at odds with the kingdom there. Israel is a country that pushed the war. They're also, you might say, people of the book. They're not Muslim. They're Jews. They're not Christian. They're Jews. And so, how do you array those facts that on other sides of the conflict are not just Christian enemies, are other Muslim entities, some of which have closer proximity, you might say, to the 9/11 slash Wahhabist sect of Islam, Jews, and even other sort of, you could even make the argument potentially that there are Russia and China are more aligned to Iran, and they aren't exactly Muslim countries either. So take us through that.
Expanding the view to include China and Russia, right? What we're seeing right now, or at least what I'm seeing, is if Russia is actually supposed to be like Iran's buddy, right? Like Pisco, I would say that you're my buddy, right?
Yeah, we're buddies.
Now, if I saw somebody kicking the absolute out of you, right, I want you to know, brother, that I'm going to go help you, okay?
Yeah.
With that being said, right, like, yo, Vladimir, they just took out
he's dealing with another
your
war.
buddy, his buddies, yeah, but still, right? And then same thing for Xi Jinping, right? Like they've been, oh man, I've over the last few different propaganda videos, China's once put them out. Oh, told their military, see them doing the whole leg up dance all the way down the street, right? And and then they're watching now, right? The Strait of Hormuz directly impacts China, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Trump was all over it, right? As soon as the Brits canceled the insurance, right, said they're not going to be carrying insurance on any of the ships, that attempt to try to, spike the oil prices, right, and kind of rein Trump in backfired because American companies are now back, insuring ships going through there, and the U.S. Navy's providing security. So the Brits, I don't know how aware you are about how they've been affecting the financial sector. I've only kind of been finding out more about this in, say, the last few weeks, honestly. There's a channel called Promethean Action.
Promethean Action.
Yeah. I've shared a few of their videos on TikTok.
Promethean Action.
But just listen. Yeah, just listen to what she's got to say.
What she has to say. All right, about us. I'm going to read the about us. This is, it's Susan or something. Okay.
Konovich or something like that, I believe.
Okay, we'll take a look at some of these videos and at some point.
That's just something for you to review at your leisure, right? So that just to kind of catch you up with the British and how they've been affecting the financial system. Because, like I said, I've only been finding out more about that, and of course, you're taking in information from multiple sources, from multiple different perspectives, and then when you start to see that, like what she says lines up with the different market aspects and this and that, and you're like, oh, okay, so like this is something to pay attention to. Maybe she really has been tracking this shit for 40-some years. You know what I mean? So,
okay, so we'll put that on the back burner. I'll definitely look at some of those videos because I want to see what you show me. Let's take another step back, because if you view this conflict as one about the battle of religion, the battle of civilization, however you want to describe it, what is Trump's goal here? I mean, Trump says on the one hand, when he starts this conflict, this is about the people need to rise up. Maybe it's about the nuclear threat. Maybe it's about the ballistic missiles. They seem to be all over the place. They're contradicting themselves. So what's this war about?
Well, it seems clear that the people of Iran, they were overtaken by this radical Islamic regime, right? And there were 30 to 40,000 of them, not just a few weeks ago, right, that were murdered in the streets, genocided, right, for protesting. And then the bombing started for Operation Epic Fury. And we see videos on X and all these different platforms of Iranians in Iran celebrating, right? And then not only there, but all these other places too. But then Iran goes dark, right? And now what you see is people in the streets cheering for the Islamic regime, only because what they did is put out on their state TV after they cut out the internet and everything, is they told them, if we see you out in the street, we're going to kill you. And they have people up on the rooftops ready to kill people that are out there pushing back against the radicals. And this is why it's so important that Trump continue to do what he's doing. Because those people, right, the people that came out there in big numbers to get the support that led to the actions that we're now seeing taken, which is not just in isolation. It has to do with the 47-year history that Ayatollah Khomeini has been terrorizing the world. So it seems, it's like you're going to have to pay the piper at some point for the dumb shit that you do in your life.
Okay. So there's definitely been oppression of the Iranian people. And I definitely agree that the regime is a sponsor of terrorism. I think that's no doubt. I guess the first place I would like to start on this issue of, well, it's a clash of religions.
It's the radical.
Go for it.
It's the radical parts of it, right? It's Christianity in and of itself is a fundamental religion of peace. Jesus' teachings are evident in the New Testament, right? From the pacifist Muslim standpoint, right? And if they're ignoring parts of their text, then Muslim can be a somewhat peaceful religion. But the violent parts of the Islam radical part of it is still a part of the same Quran.
Sure, but America started this war, right? With Israel?
No. You're ignoring the 47 years, the World Trade Centers, Ayatollah Khomeini's history. And so it's not just the one guy, it's also all of the infrastructure, all of the people that would carry on. All of it's got to go if the Iranian people are going to be able to have their freedom and have free elections.
Yeah, but the people who attacked Americans on 9/11, they would have considered Shia clerics to be like blasphemers and not actually Muslims.
Perhaps, but I'm not like a. Hold on, just give me a second. I gotta put my jacket on.
Yeah, put on your jacket, bro. Hell yeah.
Oh, it's kind of chill, man.
Yeah, it's a little chilly. I also, there's just so much of what you're saying. It sounds like President George W. Bush is back in power, man.
No.
It feels that way. Tell me how it's different. Why is it different?
Bush didn't have half a clue of what he was doing.
And Trump does. And Trump does. Trump said that Iran bombed their own school with their Tomahawk missiles.
If Bush would have been in charge, the Brits would have been able to play their hand in the financial markets a lot different. That's the real key.
Well, Bush had the backing Bush had the backing of the Brits and Tony Blair in the war. That's one thing where
right.
Bush, okay, but what I'm trying to say is it seems like Bush was a lot more intelligent about how he was trying to. And he had plenty of issues, but just in terms of knowledge regarding how to approach this from a structural perspective to get international support, etc. Bush tried to get a mandate domestically. He tried to get an international mandate. Again, a lot of failures along the way. But how is this not more of the same? How is this not more of
I don't know. It could be just that like my view's jaded now because of technology, right? So Donald Trump obviously has access to way more intelligence gathering than Bush did, simply just because of like the sheer manufacture of technology and its placement, right? So Trump has a much bigger, wider picture than Bush did. But if Bush had acted appropriately then, that would have been the time to actually go into Iran and kill Khamenei then.
Well, so then I'm not sure where you stand, my brother, because on the one hand, I think that Trumpism and MAGA was painted as this movement to be a reaction to neoconservatism, a reaction to the Bush era, and to be something new, populist, America first, all that stuff. And the policy we're getting seems very similar from an international perspective. Now, I never bought the kind of propaganda about Trump being a dove and being less willing to intervene, but that is a lot of MAGA people are complaining. I'm hearing them saying that this is a betrayal and that Trump is basically, this is examples of this are Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, other people like this who say that Trump is betraying one of the core strands of his movement, which is fundamentally critical, skeptical of the Bush neocon era, skeptical of regime change wars. And what you're trying to tell me is like, well, trust the plan, trust Trump.
I don't know how they could say that. Trump literally said on stage when asked about Iran, he said, "I'll bomb the shit out of them. I don't care."
I agree. Yeah. So maybe
he
they're the
literally,
ones. No,
he literally said it. Right?
I never.
Like, I don't know how anybody could be confused. He fucking said it, right?
I actually agree with you right there. I think that he's been very clear that he's willing to intervene and do all this stuff. And people who were taking him as a dove, they were just kind of buying propaganda and they weren't actually seeing his policies. And the other times when he was saying that he was going to do stuff like this. So I agree with you on that 100%. But like, doesn't that make it more of the same for you? It's more Bush.
No,
why isn't it more Bush?
Because the people that understand the bigger picture, right, the financial stuff that Trump understands, that a lot of us are playing catch up to. That's why looking into the Promethean action, I think it'd probably be
the financial
lot of good,
stuff. Is it about Israel or Britain or what?
It's all of it, man. Because like, think about it. Right now, we control the Panama Canal, right? Don't we actually control like parts of the Suez Canal too, right? And now the Strait of Hormuz. So the global order, right, that was everybody else pushing us back, and I mean, like, not to get like but it's not. It's the geopolitical global scale. We're being taken advantage of. People aren't paying their fair dues, and it's all true, right? You've got a group of Somalian immigrants up in Minnesota completely defrauding Minnesota, right? And it's like,
what does that have to do with this?
Every perspective has everything to do with it, right? So from all of this stuff going on, the Make America Great movement, right? Everybody that understands why the actions that are being taken to correct these things have to happen. And that's just what it has
to happen because of Somali fraud and in Minnesota?
No, that's just the example that I was giving
of what?
For you to understand.
Is that an offensive question? I can move on if you want. Well, what does it have to do with
it has to do with the question that you asked was what?
It was is this war justified partly because of the Somali fraud?
You asked specifically about the Somali fraud a minute ago, or is that something that I brought up as an example for you to be able to understand both the internal and the external and the internal ways in which the United States people have been being taken advantage of, and why it is that the people that are supporting Donald Trump and his moves, when they look at the long-term effects of what he's doing, support what he's doing, and they continue to essentially keep up along the way, because it's not like he can just tell everybody exactly what he's going to do every single time, because guess what? Operations like Epic Fury, you kind of need the enemy to be surprised and not just be moving their shit all around so they can sit in one place for you to target it, right?
So Trump moves in silence and is trying to target an overall kind of defrauding and de-emphasizing of the American people's treasure and interest and stuff. But I guess then I just don't see why this war furthers American interests. Oil prices are going up. I mean, you say that we control the Strait of Hormuz, but we don't.
They came down now. They came
down from a high point to a higher than it was before the start of this conflict. I mean, we're going to be pushing $100 a barrel.
And they're going to continue. They're going to continue to come down.
If the war continues?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that.
Iran's only going to be able to have so much effect in the Strait of Hormuz, right? Oil's going to flow from there. Financial markets are not going to be affected. Oil production is not going to, change as far as our markets are concerned, because, like, frankly, the Strait of Hormuz, Iran only supplies 3% of global oil production, period, right? And then the majority of the oil that comes through there gets supplied to China, and travels, India,
Yeah, but
those
but
places.
you have some Gulf countries who operate there, Qatar, Bahrain, and they have
True,
these
that's why
tankers that go through there, among other things that go through there. And so it's like, yeah, I get it that Iran domestically, although they do have a lot of oil fields and stuff, it's not just them, but the Strait is where more transit happens, not just between Iran and other countries, but the Gulf states who are now pushing and pushing, I think, to end the conflict. They don't want this to continue long. And Trump has even said, like, it might be short, it might be
nobody,
long.
nobody, nobody wants it to continue, right? But the fact of the matter is that for 47 years, Ayatollah Khomeini was building a entire terrorist population with uh, uh, their motto being "Death to America," right? So all of those people that were part of that chanting, right, should be on the list of people that should be joining their Ayatollah, as far as I'm concerned.
For saying death to America.
Hell yeah.
Maybe they say death to America because, and listen, I don't support saying death to America, but maybe they say it because of stuff like this. We're not going to win a bunch of friends over by like bombing, and whether it's an accident or not. And I think it probably was an accident, the killing of the school children. This shit isn't going to win us over. I don't think it's going to effectuate the regime change and introduce like a very pro-Western regime. If anything, this like will cement, I think, a lot. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Here's the deal. I don't care, honestly, if it's a pro-Western regime or not, and I
You
don't
don't
think anybody
care?
else does either.
You don't think
No,
America? Oh.
I think what everybody cares about is whether or not it's a terrorist regime, right? One of those, regimes that just want to keep throwing fucking missiles just because they don't like the Jews, just because they don't like this is, or be chanting death to another country instead of just figuring out how to, I don't know, like
Yeah, but
train your
Israel launched
athletes to be able to go compete in the Olympics and do like things that would, be a part of community of the world instead of trying to freaking kill people. You know what I
No,
mean?
I understand in the terms of the funding of Hezbollah and the Houthis, etc. But in terms of launching missiles and stuff, Israel launched missiles at Iran, or did strikes or the equivalent when the political leader of Hamas was there. They launched strikes during the 12-day war, where America had to come in and do their bunker busting bombs. And now this time they're doing the initial aggression again. And so like it just does seem to me.
Oh, wait, are you talking about when the B2s left Missouri
I don't know where they
went
left.
and took
Was it
out
Missouri?
their
Yeah, at Fordo and
yeah,
at the other nuclear sites.
yeah, and they took out the deep bunker that was like 6 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, according to Trump, obliterated the nuclear weapons program.
Yeah,
But
I saw the video on that. They did a decent job, but obviously they were able to recover some material, because now, right, we're looking at, them possibly being able to do something with it, right? So it's like, nope, we told you not to, and what'd you do? So now it's time to go. It's not now. We got to smack you.
so what's the
That's
goal?
what it is.
So is the goal? What is the goal? If you're try to, because I'm against the war. I think it's fucked up. I think it's more neocon bullshit. I think it's just, and everyone who is trying to do the about face to justify it are grasping at straws. But maybe there's something there. So tell me, if you're the leader, if you're the commander in chief, what is the goal? Because it's not being communicated well. It's not being communicated well at all.
I feel like it's being communicated very well.
All right, then tell me, because I'm losing it, because some days it's regime change, some days it's to lower their missile capacity, sometimes it's to finally destroy the nuclear the weapons program. Sometimes it seems like the goal is to create a failed state so that Israel can operate with impunity. It just does seem to be like there's mixed messaging.
Maybe it's just maybe it's I've okay, so I guess I've operated in that kind of environment, right? So there's constant updates. There's, so I'm not like sitting here questioning each one of the things that comes out and not understanding how they're tied together, right?
So
So it's
tie it
like
together for me.
it's not
What's the point?
okay. So one, Ayatollah Khomeini got to go, right?
Well, they
After
killed
that, you got to get all
they killed
you
the
got
supreme
you
leader.
got to get all the right. You got to get all the underlings, right? And then as you're doing that, you got to make sure you get all of their weapons, right? Which is why like Operation Epic Fury was so devastating because they had the Gerald R. Ford in the Med and they had two other carriers over on the other side, and they, along with Israeli forces, all went in there at the same time, coordinated with Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from submarines. So that was the whole reason they had to take out their missiles so that they wouldn't be able to, continue to attack in a bigger way than what they already have been their neighbors, which is why their neighbors, which are not like Israel, which Israel's used to being missile attacks, so they've got their Iron Dome set up, but not all the neighbors are used to being shot at, right? So it's like, okay, fair enough. Like nobody wants to get shot at if you're not ready for it. So it makes sense. People are like, we don't like this. Understand, check, right? But you're not doing anything, but they're launching them at you. So that's like, how do you like just go, hey, because this person's, hey, I'll tell you what, let's put it like this, right? So for me, you, and Destiny and Hassan, right, are all in a room. Okay.
The big four.
And
the
then,
big four of political influencers.
Right.
You, me, Destiny, and Hassan. Got it.
So what happens is, right, is Destiny just starts kicking the ever loving shit out of Hassan, right?
Okay.
And Hassan is crying like a girl. Okay.
Okay.
And it's bad. Like it's bad, right? And me and you were looking at each other like, damn. Sucks to be you, bro. Right? Sucks to be you, bro. Right? And then, right, you're watching this, right? And then Hassan, out of fucking nowhere, starts hitting us while he's still getting hit by Destiny. What the fuck are you doing? Now I gotta jump in the fight. He's not kicking the shit out of you too. What the fuck are you doing? Right? So me and you were just sitting there just looking at him like, what the fuck? And this would be one of those like, it's funny, but it's like it would be so funny if it really happened because Destiny would love to do that, right? And it'd be so funny. It'd be so funny.
Beat up Hassan Piker physically?
Classic. Oh yeah, Destiny would love to do that, but it's not gonna happen. He's not willing to commit the time that it would take.
Do you think that that's like good? Like, I don't think that we need people to be hitting each other. Aren't you like peaceful? Weren't you peaceful? I thought you were like a live and let live guy.
I am to a. Well, you know what? No, actually, pedos.
What?
Always been.
Who's talking about pedos?
Anybody. You usually want to say live and let live. I'm not really so, right? Okay, like I've got hard lines when it comes to stuff.
Everyone has hard lines. Everyone has lines, all right? But I just mean. Well, what's going on? What's going on? This
Jordan, I served on submarines next to weapons that were capable of glassing continents, and you're like, I thought you were a live and let live guy. I don't know, bro.
Yeah, that's highly concerning.
If somebody launched a nuke in New York, right? I was out there in the water, ready to glass everybody, knowing that like I might not have anything to come home to.
Huh. Well, I'm glad that didn't happen. I think that I'm not as, I don't know what to say, optimistic with current leadership that we won't get into these like kind of intractable situations where, this is kind of a new war, man. It's kind of a new war.
I think it's an old one that just had never been finished, and it's time that it got finished.
So were you a no new wars guy? Were you a no new wars guy? Were you a no new wars guy? Were you one of those guys saying no new wars, no new wars? Trump is for peace.
Oh no, I was about like, let's get the evil out of the world.
Okay.
I want the evil out of the world, bro. Straight up. Like
Don't you think you should focus more on like prices and on America and like us being okay? I mean, you talk about the Somali fraud or whatever, but just
I tell you what, it's kind of like
first week.
It's kind of like
yeah.
It's like this. If you've got kidney cancer, right, and you got to get put on dialysis, dialysis is just enough to get you by, right? You're not living, you're just surviving. What you need in order to be able to make your body healthy again is a new kidney. And that's exactly what Iran needs.
A new kidney?
They need the people to be leading themselves through elections and them actually being able to have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, which is like some of the basic things for people to be able to have, right? And them to be able to run their own government and not be slaughtered in the streets like fucking cattle to the tune of 30, 40,000 people. It's like, bro, I can't sit by and watch that shit go on.
Okay, then shouldn't Trump be committing ground troops then? Because I don't think it's going to work with this shit.
I think, well, there's a point where you take out all of the hard targets, right? And what's going to end up having to happen, right, is that just like with the air campaign, there's going to have to be a massive ground campaign if they go in. And when they go in, a part of the ground campaign is going to have to be like a temporary evacuation of the Iranian people as they start going door to door. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to weed them out like cockroaches.
The bad people?
Oh, yeah. Because they might try to like, oh, no, good, right? Okay. But they're going to, dudes with guns, make sure ain't nobody got nothing before they come on any military transport, right? So now you're unarmed, but you're around soldiers with weapons. Show your ass. You know what I mean?
That's why I think it's going to need a deployment of troops to get that done in the short to mid-term. And it just really does seem that bombing them from afar isn't going to accomplish the desired outcome of freeing the Iranian people, which seems to be top of mind for you.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If they do a ground campaign, it's going to have to be a massive ground campaign that's probably going to include not just the United States, but all of the neighbor countries as well. I think every single one of the neighbors that are being attacked right now understand that if they don't get a handle on this regime quickly, right, that more people, innocent people, are going to die as a result of them just being radical. They don't care about anybody but themselves and them serving out their own ideology, right? And that's the problem. So I think that you end up having a coalition of nations, of all Arab nations, right? Because it doesn't serve to have United States soldiers going in there that don't even speak a lot of the local languages. You need to have a coalition of nations around them that can go in there and be able to speak the languages and say, hey,
they don't
this
speak
was
the
good,
language.
this was not. So there's people that speak the language. Come on.
Iran, they speak Farsi. Very different than Arabic.
Look, I'll tell you what. Just like in France, the French don't only speak French, right? Especially if they live closer to the borders of Germany or et cetera, right?
Well, I'm just saying the Persian people consider themselves really not Arab in any respect, and they, so like culturally, maybe there's some proximity, oftentimes because Persian culture has influenced Turkish culture, Arabic culture, all that stuff, right? So I definitely hear you there, but I think that there is not going to be an easy coalition of people willing to commit ground troops into Iran. If for any reason it's going to be a fucking mess, there's mountains everywhere. It's 90 million people, and also not everyone is in like. There's some weird sectarian things going on in Iraq, for example. There's a lot of Shia. The population is majority Shia. There's the Kurds as well, which are kind of like these weird dynamics. It's a mess, bro. It's a big fucking mess.
Yeah, I mean, and that's so you got to take out the IRGC and you got to take out the terrorist regime.
That's hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, it is. So we got to get to work.
Okay, but Trump is saying that we're almost done, but then also it's just starting.
It-
That's why the comms are horrible, bro. The comms are like contradictory.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that. So, as one operation ends, probably going to be another one. Whether or not we're involved, right, is probably going to be what I'm not going to be able to know, right? Because it could be that they've got other people that are going to be doing it, and the United States is going to have to be involved, or we may. And that when things are moving at this kind of pace, the public is going to be playing catch up, and that's just kind of how it is.
But you
So
trust Trump? You think he's doing a good job so far on it?
yeah, I do. I really, really do. I think that with everything that we have to face in the world, you can't just bury your head in the sand. You got to deal with it, and with what we've got to deal with it, and with who we've got to deal with it, I think that dealing with it is much better than putting your head in the sand.
Got it. So what's going to come? Do you think we're actually going to have an invasion of troops, ground troops? What would be? Oh, let me ask it better. That was a bad way to ask it. What's the winning condition? What's the failure condition? How do we know if we've won? How do we know if we've lost?
We'll know if we won if the Iranian people uh, are able to take back their government and hold free elections.
Okay. And how do we know if we've lost if they're not able to do that?
I don't think that.
You
I
think
don't
we
even
can win,
think
lose?
that. I don't think that Trump's going to stop until he wins.
Okay,
If
but
the man
I'm
has shown
asking,
me nothing else, he's shown me that.
how do you
So,
know if he's lost? Is it possible for him to lose?
I mean, the dude got shot. He's still here. God obviously has a plan for him, bro.
You don't think he can lose?
I think so long as he's doing the Lord's work, nothing will be able to touch him.
Well, okay. It seems like he's got your support locked up. So if he were to pull out tomorrow and be like, "We did what we came to do. We destroyed their missile capacity. We've pushed them back for 3 years, 5 years, and now we're leaving." You'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna listen to him. That's not a failure. He's just gonna come back for him later."
He knows that he doesn't have that kind of time, so why would he do that?
I'm asking if he does, would you support him? Is there anything he could do that would make him lose your support on this?
Giving up?
Yeah. Have you heard taco? Have you heard of the taco?
What about Taco?
Taco is Trump always chickens out. That's a phrase. He'll go some steps, but he'll pull back. I don't think it's always true, but sometimes it's true.
Well, it just seems like a good tactic, really. I mean, like just in sales, right? Just because somebody's got a sticker price on something doesn't mean I'm going to pay that, right? I might go up to them, throw them an offer, and they go, "Nah, nah, don't want that." Okay, cool. Then you start walking away. Well, I guess I'm willing to take, you know. Well, yeah, So it starts the negotiation. That's his whole style. It's like, you're going to have
Salesman.
to. A lot of people, I guess maybe one of the disconnects is it's like for most people that operate in the digital age and hardly ever have any, physical currency in their hands, right? It's really hard to understand, like bartering
Barter.
because you're so far removed from actually bartering. You just go buy what you need. You literally don't even consider trading for stuff most of the time. You just literally think, okay, I got to make the money to be able to go get this thing.
He's a salesman, if
So
anything.
that's
There's
right.
I want to say to that point, there are some people who think that among the conservatives, way more conservative than me, and I don't know about you. I'm curious. When I ask this, how you're going to react to it. Who think that his sales pitch has been not fulfilled with, and the example I'm going to do is Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is someone on the right wing who is now so angry at Trump having betrayed the idea of America first in his mind, right? In his mind, I'm not saying that that's objectively what America first is, but in Nick Fuentes' mind, he says he's going to encourage his supporters in the midterms to vote for Democrats because there needs to be a lane opened up, and that Trump has basically bowed to the neocon interests, bowed to Israel, and bowed to the establishment. What do you think of Fuentes, and what do you think of that analysis?
I think that it's small-minded, and that
Small-minded.
he needs to he needs to do he needs to understand the global picture more. Same thing with any of the other ones that are, you know,
Tucker, them.
if they're complaining or pushing back, or I mean pushback is fine, right? But if they're complaining or outright like what Nick is saying, oh, you need to go do this, well, that just sounds like crybaby shit first, right? Sounds like conspiracy theory type stuff, because like everything that Trump's doing is exactly what he said he was going to do. He hasn't, you know, from what I've seen, bullshitted anybody. He said he was going to bomb them, so he fucking bombed them. If you understand the global order as far as the money's concerned, which again, we're kind of back at Promethean action, right? I've been following for a little bit. But once you understand that bigger picture, and that's what I needed to understand, and that's why I kind of started seeking it out. Once I understood that and how the insurance markets affect, you know, all of these things, and so it was much easier for me to understand why these moves have been made. And then from the why Operation Epic Fury goes back to the fact that Iran has been a state sponsor of terror for as long as I've been alive. I'm happy to see that shit in. So
I want to
it,
respond to something you just said there, which is he hasn't gotten back on his word or anything. I agreed with you insofar as you said it was obvious what he was going to do. I think that that's clear. I thought he was going to be. You're not going to agree with this characterization, but I thought he was going to be Netanyahu's bitch, and I thought he was going to be a warmonger. That's what I always thought he would do. But I don't think it's. And so to that extent, I don't think it's like people who are saying, "Oh my God, I couldn't have predicted he would go to war with Iran." I agree with you. They just weren't reading the cards right. But they did push this no new wars thing during the campaign, and a lot of people believed them. They brought Tulsi Gabbard on, and she was very hesitant, or at least she claimed to be hesitant when it came to interventions in Syria, hawkishness towards Iran or towards Russia and Iran. They brought in JD Vance. JD Vance made this a big part of his appeal. Was he's more this Appalachia guy who's more worried about America first, doesn't want to do foreign regime change wars. And so I agree that it was predictable, if you were reading the cards right, that he was going to do this stuff, but they were presenting themselves as against these kinds of interventions, and a lot of people believe them.
but the fact is that intelligence reports showed that Iran, their overall plan, right, after the initial bombing of their nuclear facility where they were trying to enrich uranium enough to be able to produce an atomic weapon, once that bomb dropped and, you know, hindered that, their plan, or at least the word that's being put out for what their plan was, because, you know, I'm not in these intelligence briefings, how the fuck do I know? But what's being put out is that Iran was building up their stockpile of missiles, and that was their goal, was to build up enough to where once they were able to get a nuclear weapon, that people would be fearful of coming to try to stop them. One, because they got a nuke, and then two, because they got this huge stockpile of missiles, right? So it's like that's been their overall plan for a while. That's why you know, you don't know how to behave with your toys, they get took away, right?
Sure, but then it seems like Trump is doing the worst of all worlds. He's scuttling negotiations to get a settled agreement because he's like doing assassinations while negotiations are ongoing and while he's trying to tout the negotiations. And he's not fully intervening in Iran for a regime change such that you can be like sure that they won't accumulate a greater stockpile of enriched uranium, and that they won't eventually get access to a bomb if you don't really believe the negotiations are going anywhere. In other words, it just feels like this policy is, even assuming that what they were going to do is go after a bomb, I don't think that this prevents that. And if anything, it makes it harder to, unless you're willing to fully commit to displace the regime, it feels like he's now made it more precarious, and the intent behind the
No, I
Iranian
think
regime
that's
is going to be
entirely
worse.
the goal. Is No, I think that's entirely the goal, is to displace this regime.
So you'll support a ground war in Iran. You'll support your president if he decides to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going that way. I go back and forth on it. I really do think, on the one hand, he's very sensitive to like the oil prices and to some of his relationships in, with the Emirates, with Saudi Arabia, etc. So I'm not sure what will actually happen, but I think that if he does that, it will be a death knell for Republican elections in the next 4 years. I don't think that.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. And no, I think that the Democrat brand is so bad. It is so bad that there's no way that it gets majority votes moving forward for a while, bro. The Democrat Party has so much distancing, renewal of policy, just getting fresh faces. They have got to completely, and they've got
yeah, but
to,
the
like,
war's very unpopular.
Matter of fact, bro, like it's not as unpopular as Democrats.
That is true, but that's only true because Democrats hate themselves. Democrats hate themselves, bro. They hate themselves. It is true. But
Something.
No, it is true. But look at what is left. The people who support the Republican strategy here, or I should say Trump strategy, they're the diehard MAGA people. And it's like 90+%. But all the Democrats are arrayed against it, and independents don't like it. And even the Democratic establishment people who might support, in different circumstances, intervention, because it's Trump, they're against it. And so it really does feel like the war's not going to get more popular. It's going to get less popular. We just have news that, like, another, I think it was over Iraqi skies, another plane potentially with 3 to 6 Americans on it crashed. So yeah, I just think that, like, the more blood of Americans is spilled in this war, billions of dollars in the first weeks of the war. The fact that it's illegal, but we don't even talk about that.
Yeah, but like the whole deal about being an American, right? Like, I love Pete Hegseth's message. Right?
You do?
He says, if you, oh yeah, when he says, if you threaten America, if you kill Americans, right, we will hunt you down and kill you. I absolutely love that messaging. The world has gotten way too, I don't know, man. It's like we're at a point where you got China over here making a lot of these deals over in South America, right? Which is why, like, removing Maduro was a good deal, right? Because the cartels and all of that stuff that was being flooded into our country, that was killing our people, needed to be handled, right? Because it's like either all of our people, all of our citizens matter to us, our brothers and sisters matter to us, right? Or we're supposed to care about the whole world, right? Well, the problem is, can't do that. You know why?
No, why
Because we
America
don't own
can't
the
care?
whole world.
Yeah, we don't know, but we're acting like it with our interventions. We're acting like we have the right to do anything we want, no matter what. And Trump is acting like he can do whatever he wants. Congress be damned, people be damned. I don't think that's the right. I think that's operating like a tyrant. It's kind of operating like, yeah.
When the president of the United States during the State of the Union makes a simple statement of,
oh, you're not gonna do this shit. You're not falling for that, are you?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Dude, look, here's the deal. The Democrats that want to play this political theater, right? And that's what's been happening for decades, is political theater, right? How are you going to sit there, right, when the president asks the question, right, or makes the statement that the purpose of the people that are elected, right, is to serve the American people, not illegal immigrants, right? Essentially, I know I didn't.
Yeah,
get
it's
it
like
exactly
saying,
right,
if you're gay if you don't stand up. That's basically what he did. That's what he tried to do. They're just not standing up because they don't want to entertain his demagoguery.
Right. Here's the deal. That's how children act.
No.
Children act that way
How
whenever they
children
don't want
act
to
is how
play.
Trump act. Tag your it, no tag backs.
No.
That's what Trump is trying to do. You're falling for it.
Oh, brother, you're not getting it, bro. When the majority of the country voted for the president, right? An overwhelming majority of the country voted for the president, and you have this small group of people over here that are acting this way. They're the children that should be growing up and getting with everybody else that's their brothers and
Have you
sisters.
read this guy's
right?
tweets?
You're
You want to talk
American.
about you want to talk about childlike
Oh, yeah.
sensibilities?
I read them.
His Truth
I read
Social
'em.
posts.
I read them.
They're the
Oh,
most
yeah.
childish
Yeah.
thing that any public official has ever done.
Look, the deal with his social media
Yeah.
is it gets people's attention, and the people. What's funny is watching the reactions to it. That's the thing that is. You can tell more about someone by how they react to something, right, than what it is that they're reacting to a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
So when he says the thing, and then like everybody else is losing their minds, and then Trump's the only thing that they can talk about, it's like overwhelmingly like it's like I pity the people that can't see past Trump. They can't see
Let's
the
see
bigger
past
picture,
Trump. Let's see
right?
past Trump, and let's do the bigger picture. We're gonna do rapid fire, and you're gonna just react positive, negative, don't know, neutral. All right, and I'm gonna give you a bunch of stuff related to Trump, and you're gonna tell me. We'll get a sense of it. So we'll start. Kristi Noem.
Indifferent.
Okay. Pam Bondi.
Indifferent.
Pete Hegseth.
Oh, positive.
Tariffs.
Positive.
Big Beautiful Bill.
Yeah, pretty positive.
Let's see. Venezuelan raid.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
JD Vance.
Yeah. Positive.
Ivanka Trump.
Indifferent.
Linda McMahon. Secretary of Education.
Positive.
Positive.
Yeah, because she disbanded. Yeah, positive. Yeah.
All right. ICE deportations. How are they going?
They would be going a lot better if people would stop trying to interfere with law enforcement.
What do you think of those 2 Americans killed?
I think that Renee Good should have put her vehicle in park and got the fuck out like she was told to, instead of trying to speed away and run over that officer. Had she done so, she might still be alive. And Alex Pretty, who was involved in an altercation the week before where he ended up busting up a taillight of a government vehicle, brought a gun back to a protest, right, and then tried to get himself between an ICE
don't start with
agent
that
and
gun
a
at the
woman.
protest thing. The gun at the protest thing?
You did it. Bro, you did it.
Dude.
You did it. It's common sense. It's common sense type stuff.
You would never say that
right?
about Rittenhouse. You would never say that about Rittenhouse.
Here's the reality of the Alex Pretty situation: is that it was, I believe, in fact, an accident, right? But that has to do with the fact that
you think it went off
because Alex. What the footage that I saw was the officer that removed the weapon. That weapon discharged, right? And here's the reality: it didn't.
No, man.
It looked like it did to me.
No, man. It was that. It was the
So
guy.
what weapon went off first?
The CBP agent's gun, who shot at Pretty.
That was the second and third.
No, that's
shots
the first one.
What it looked like to me.
It was the first shot.
I guess I'd have to go back and look again.
Yeah, you should look at it. That shit. There's no evidence for that gun having been discharged, and if there was, they would have released it by now. There just is no evidence of that.
I saw a video where I saw the slide move on, and this was the thing, right? When I watched the officer that removed Pretty's weapon, right? When I saw him, he's moving away from the scene with the weapon in his hand. The slide moves, right, in his hand, and his whole arm moves, which is what makes me believe that that gun went off. And then when that gun went off, uh, because the officers were pre-charged with gun, gun, gun getting announced before that, when that gun went off, the other ones around him, the part of their training would have been to take a step back and so that's where I see that now. And I also watched another video from a YouTuber that actually broke down the particular style of weapon that Mr. Pretty had and the known issues with how easy it is to actually set that weapon off.
Yeah,
So,
someone in my chat is saying that CBP claimed the gun never fired, but I can't confirm that. That's what someone is saying. But no, I think that there should be a full investigation though, and it seems like fucked up that the administration is like not cooperating with Minnesota, like firing people who want to do further investigations. I think it should be very transparent and all that shit. But like, what do I know? Before we get off this, or sorry, this will be the last set of questions, then we can open it up a little bit more. Epstein stuff, bro. Epstein stuff. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the Epstein files?
I think that there's a lot. I watched, and that's one of the great things, bro, about me doing the job that I do.
Yeah.
Is when I'm driving, 200 miles in one direction for the escort, and then I'm driving back another 200 miles. Hell, I got plenty of time to just listen.
Yeah.
So I watched one video, and this girl was going over all of the history with Ghislaine Maxwell and obviously Epstein, how Trump's name appears on the flight log, along with Bill Clinton, right? And the different victims along the way, right? And what she didn't, and she went, it's like, as she's telling it, she wanted to be able to say something against Trump, right? But what's been released so far is not there. But what she did say about a lot of the files that have yet to be released is that they're supposedly like worse than, and it's worse for the victims, right?
Okay, but why did Trump lie? Why did Trump say like, oh, this Epstein stuff, it's all just a hoax? Oh, Epstein, like it's Obama made Epstein or something, when we know that's not true. Like Trump was saying that all of the Epstein stuff was just cooked up by the Democrats, that it's a hoax, and that if you believe it, you shouldn't vote for me. That seems like a very bad way to insult your own supporters. Basically, invent lies that it's the Democrats who created the files, which doesn't even make any sense. And Pam Bondi says there are no Epstein files.
That's part of what she talked about, and
Bondi?
what she said was no.
Oh, the woman that
video
you're talking
that
about.
I watched.
Okay.
Yeah. And I probably go back and through my YouTube history and find it and send it to you if you want to watch it. But what she was saying was that most of the stuff that was recovered were draft messages written by Jeffrey. And they were like, a lot of the stuff it's like stuff that was not actually communicated. So then it makes me wonder about some of the information that gets recorded, because if it's not substantiated by like a reaction by someone, which, some of them, like, especially the ones including Prince Charles, right? That was
Prince Andrew. But
Andrew, that's right.
Yeah, no, but like even putting aside like the substance of it, why are they lying? Like Howard Lutnick, who is Trump's commerce secretary, he goes on this big spiel about, oh, I knew he was bad, and that's why I cut ties with him in 2005 or 2000 this or that, and I never saw him again. And so he makes a big deal out of how he knew this guy was like no good and didn't interact with him after a given time. And then it turns out, oh yeah, like 5 years after he claims to have last saw him, the bro is like over there at Epstein Island with his whole family. So it's why the lies? Why are they like hiding a lot of shit? Trump's the person in charge. And so why is this happening?
Honestly, I don't know. I want to know. I want to know, but I don't know.
Who are you listening to these days? News besides the two people you mentioned. You still watching Fox? You watching
Oh, I kind of just Asmongold, right?
Asmongold?
Yeah.
You like
Yeah,
Asmongold? Tell me more about that.
What about it? Whenever he's talking about the more relevant, like political stuff, then I listen to what he's talking about. But
what do you like about him?
I don't like tune in.
He funny?
He's just just level headed. He's level headed, and he doesn't try to bullshit you, and he makes it a point to stand on what his principles are, right? And I think that he and I probably share a lot of principles. Bad people need to be punished. Like
well,
one of the
I
most
share that
simple
principle. You don't think we share that
ones.
principle?
I don't know. I think that it gets washed whenever the conversation becomes who's the bad people, and whenever we can't agree that Islamic terrorists should be put to death, that like what are we doing?
Well, I'm against Islamic terrorism. One of the reasons why I am against this war, I think, is this potentially could unleash sectarian conflict or Islamic terrorism or extremism. I'm concerned about it. And I think that the reason why these conversations get back to some of these issues is because I think that in terms of our interactions, there's always been that like background of political discussion behind it.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'm really concerned for this country that we're about to commit way more personnel, American blood, American resources into a conflict that we are ill prepared to win and which will be unsuccessful. And it feels like I can't move you on that because you just think that Trump is preordained to win by God because he got shot.
Not because he got shot. I think that
that's
if
the reason you
go
believe
back
he's gonna win.
actually, you really want to know who I'm listening to? There's I don't know his name, and I probably should learn his name, but he's the pastor at Lionheart Church around Atlanta. Josh Howerton, right? Another pastor. Mark Driscoll. Uh-huh. Mark Driscoll is another pastor, right? And doing a lot more reading of God's word. That's what I've been doing. So, and I'm not like me, bro. I'm not going to sit here and preach down your neck about anything, but I'll tell you something interesting that God did reveal to me, though.
What did he reveal to you?
How the dinosaurs were killed.
God revealed how the dinosaurs were killed. I wasn't expecting that. Come out of your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither was I whenever in the flood.
In Noah's flood?
Yep.
Why didn't Noah save the dinosaurs?
Well, they weren't Noah's to save.
But the other animals were Noah's to save?
Well, it's not like Noah went out and collected them up. They just showed up, right?
Are you fucking with me? Are you fucking with me?
No, that's how it went. They just showed up, bro.
So by definition, man walked amongst T-Rex. Man walked among Brontosaurus.
Yep.
So you don't believe like the carbon dating stuff? That's all bullshit.
I think that if you look at Google Maps and you look at the Mid-Atlantic Ocean Bridge, it runs from the Arctic to the Antarctic. right? Right in between the North American, South American, European, African continents, right? And we
Firmament.
understand that there was a
You're not a flat Earth guy,
right.
right?
No, there was
Okay,
that there
good.
was a no, so that there was a Pangea at some point, right? A
Yes.
supercontinent, right?
You know
That's
about
what we all
Pangea.
say, right?
Yes, we know about Pangea. Yes.
That's right. Except it's not Pangea; it's actually Eden.
Pangea
The
was
whole thing
Eden.
is Eden. The whole thing, Eden,
So
because
we
there
are
was
we
a
do we live
garden
in
in
a
Eden.
do we live in a part of
Well,
Eden, a fallen part of Eden?
yeah, yeah. Since you put it that way, I know I hadn't put it that way, but yeah.
Damn,
So
bro.
what? So Pangea or Eden starts getting split. And the reason why we know this happened at some point was because they've taken core samples of the Atlantic Ocean bed and the Pacific Ocean bed, and we know that the Atlantic Ocean bed is actually newer than the Pacific Ocean bed, right? We know from ice
You're
core
telling me, but
samples that
sure.
have been pulled from the Arctic and the Antarctic, right, that in the past that oxygen levels were 35%. So we know based off of that that we live in a decaying world, which is exactly
Yeah,
what's
but
described in the Bible.
those are like the
Now,
scientific dating things, right? Those are like dating that we use for to establish the age of the Earth. That you don't. I assume you don't believe
if
in
you,
the. Yeah.
right, so we're getting to the layers part, right? Because the fossil record is actually the flood record. Because each one, the thickness of the layers has to do with the tsunamis that were washing over the continents. But we'll get to how those tsunamis happen in just a minute. So Eden starts being split by the volcanic activity of the mid-Atlantic Ocean ridge splitting, which is what pushes the continents apart, right? In Genesis 7:11, it says that the fountains of the deep were opened, and then the floodgates of heaven were let loose, right? So what that's describing is the splitting of Eden, right, or Pangea, into where we see the continents now. Now, as this is happening, right, and it's not happening on a millions of like inches time frame. It's moving like tens of feet, hundreds of feet. You know, it's moving, right, and it's spreading itself apart. And then there was a moment when all of the waters, right, that was on the rest of the planet, right, starts breaking free through the mountains. And you can especially look down around South America, right, the southern tip of that, and Antarctica, and be able to see where waters were rushing through in a direction right there off the tips. That's why it's there. It's almost like a dam broke and it just washed all the way in. And then imagine, right? So the land has been splitting this whole time. It's hot, it's magma, just fucking hot. So then the water start rushing in. Then what happens? It all gets turned to steam, right? Lots of steam. So the steam goes up in the air, and now you got 40 days and 40 nights of rain. And then you start wondering, okay, 40 days of 40 nights of rain. You got the waters that are washing in, and now there's tsunamis thousands of feet tall washing over the continents, burying all the dinosaurs and everything that was in it. Layers upon layers upon layers of sediment, right? It gets brought in from the coast and the ocean beds that were just washed in, gets washed up over the coast. That's why you find sea life everywhere on the planet. Everywhere you find sea life. So then you get that, and then what happens to the planet after that? Well, it's still spinning, it's still going around the sun, right? Heat, a whole hell of a lot of heat was just created by the splitting of this supercontinent, right? It starts collecting at the poles, and we know for damn sure that when you put hot water versus cold water in the freezer, that the hot water is going to freeze first.
Is
And
it?
now all of a sudden, yeah, and now all of a sudden you've got ice at the poles, and now you've got a
Sorry,
much
I can't.
clearer.
Are you fucking with me? I can't tell.
No, I'm telling you the absolute truth.
God told
Now
you
you get
this.
ice at the poles, and now you get ice at the poles, right? And then you have a much greater understanding of the planet that you're looking at now
Who told you
versus
this?
how we. Well,
God.
there's a few different people that have been researching it over the years, right? I've been doing my own research my whole life because I just fucking love dinosaurs, right? Which is exactly why, like, past meme went to Jurassic Park, right? Because I just like dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, a lot of religious people
So
say dinosaurs didn't ever exist. You think that they did exist?
absolutely, they existed. I've been to the British Museum of Natural History, there in Washington D.C., New York, right? So I've seen the fossils. I know they existed, right? Unless I'm just gonna like assume that all these archaeologists are just full of shit.
Wait, hot water
Just because I
freezes
haven't been
first?
to this.
Does hot water
Yeah.
freeze faster than cold water? This is according to Google. Hot water can freeze faster than cold water under certain conditions, a phenomenon known as the Mpemba effect. While counterintuitive, this occurs due to factors like rapid evaporation, convection currents, and lower dissolved gas content in warmer water, though it is not consistently reproducible in every scenario. The Mpemba effect. Mpemba effect?
Mhm.
Yeah, so everyone in the chat who was talking shit, everyone, do they owe you an apology, CTV? The people who are like
I mean,
talking shit?
it's definitely a part of basic submarine auxiliary refrigeration training. But yeah, if they want to talk shit in chat, let them, right?
I don't know if that's true, guys. That's just what Google said. But if he got that right, I think someone needs to take an L in the chat, because there were some people who are reacting very negatively to your scientific statement there, and that's how the polls got
Well,
cold. The Mbappe effect.
yeah,
The Mpemba effect.
yeah,
Mpemba.
yeah. And then once the ice gets formed, then that's where you get the carving of the glaciers on the the land that's left, right?
Yeah.
It all
What are we talking
there's
about here, man? What is this?
creation and Noah's flood and how we get to where we are today. This is the thing that was holding me back on my faith for a lot of years, right? That
This
being
was
able to watch.
dinosaurs?
Yeah. Yes, because I'm growing up and I'm like, oh, Jesus came and died for me on the cross, and all of his teachings and all of it is, as non-contradictory as it is, but like, bro, how do I understand dinosaurs? I really like dinosaurs. How do I understand this? Because it doesn't make sense. And then if I can have one problem with faith, then it becomes a huge issue, right? So I really, just started praying about it a lot and doing even more research. And I came across a few different creators that were making videos on the subject. Some of them are, closer to what I think. Some of them are a little more out there, right? But after I sat and got on my knees and was just, praying and thinking and eyes closed, going over everything, right? It was just like I just started to be able to see it. Like, because
Are
I
you using
needed
AI
a,
a lot? Are you using AI?
no, not really.
Well,
No, because AI gives you more of the answer that uh, is more commonly accepted before it gets into nuance most of the time. So it's
nuance
really
being the less commonly accepted answer.
nuance being that you got more than a surface level understanding.
Got it. All right, so talk to me a little bit about the discourse, because you're observing. You used to be the hippy dippy champion, is that right? Or are you the
Still
reigning
am
champion?
if Dylan Burgess.
You're
I
the
mean, that's
reigning.
if Dylan Burgess to be, yeah, the reigning hippy dippy champion.
So you've been observing a lot of.
Longest, yeah,
Say what you're gonna say. Log is what? Longest.
longest reigning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been years now. I mean, and there hasn't been so much as like even a legitimate challenge, really.
So let me ask you, as the reigning defending hippy dippy debate champion, tell us what you think about the current political discourse. What are your thoughts?
I really feel like that if people could just look past Trump, it's like instead of seeing Trump, see the United States, see the office of the president, right? And these actions are being taken. Why is my country doing this as a whole? Right now, remove yourself, right? Think outside of the individual. Think outside of yourself. I know for most people in the 21st century, they are complete narcissists. It is very, very hard to get them to see outside of themselves, right? Let alone see past a person that they can't stop being fixated on, right? It's crazy too, because if you go back in the Old Testament and you understand the way judges worked, right, and the way God punishes evil, it ends up being really easy to understand how Trump is operating in the world right now. That's where I would be pointing people to the pastor at Lionheart Church. He is really, really good and very.
It did feel like Democrats didn't get this benefit of your kind of like, I don't know, more universalist or collective approach. That when Biden or Obama was in office, it's not like, don't focus so much on Biden or Obama, just focus on why your country is the way it is. Didn't really feel like that was something that was applied to them.
Well, one, we were getting killed with inflation, so there's no reason to be happy there, right? Two, he's a bumbling buffoon, right? Making an ass of himself on TV, literally falling downstairs, right? Like, I don't know what. Come on, bro. Like, come on. It's like if you're gonna, if I'm your representative,
it sounds like it's a literal double standard. You're like,
no, it's like
when it's Trump, it's like, oh, what? You got to focus outside the individual, man. But when it's Biden, it's like, well, he was like a fucking stammering idiot, and then it was okay for you to go all in.
It's hard. Look, I tell you what, if there hadn't been able to get some kind of rein on fuel prices, you'd probably be hearing, right, a lot different.
Prices are going to go up. But they've just unleashed a bunch of their reserve, but that's not going to last, and prices are still going up. Overall, they've gone up. We're getting close to $100 a barrel.
The reason why prices stabilize doesn't have to do with the reserves. It has to do.
So you're like you have this kind of like monk-like attitude, this very Zen monk-like, religiously coded rhetoric when you approach Trump, unless prices are fucked up, and then it's like a caution to the wind. That's how long your Zen Buddhist analysis lasts, is so long as prices are below, I don't know, $100 a barrel for oil. When can we start?
What I'm saying,
you sound like Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was like, y'all want to talk about the Epstein Files? Look at the stock market; it's at 50,000.
If
that went really fast, dude. That went really fast. When you brought up Biden, you're like, well, the prices were fucked up, so that's why I don't have this attitude. Come on, man. Come on.
All right. So if what I'm saying is, right, is that if prices had not been able to be wrangled back in, and it doesn't have anything to do with the release of the reserves, it has to do with the insurance markets that I was talking about earlier, right?
Okay. Sure.
Because of that, right? That's what would show gross incompetence, right?
So if it happens,
that would be a clear.
So if it happens, will it be gross incompetent?
Prices are the thing that is easiest for people to be able to see gross incompetence, right? And it's like if you went and did a big operation like this in the Middle East, Epic Fury, right? And you weren't anticipating fuel prices going up and having a plan ready to do something for that in order to protect, right, your markets and your people, right? Then that would show gross incompetence. And then that's where people like me would be like, okay, what are you doing? This is not working out for us, right? So
yeah, but prices are going up right now. Prices are going up.
They stabilized today.
If you're talking specifically about oil, I mean, you can cherry pick any particular day.
I'm talking about at the pump, because that's what matters to everyday people, right?
Yeah, those are going up.
Diesel prices actually came down here in Florida today by about 20 cents a gallon.
Okay, but in the last 2 weeks, they're going up.
Yeah, they went up for sure, because they was paying about $3.60 a gallon for diesel here a few weeks ago, and now we're up to it went up to $5.20, and now it dropped down to like
Do you know what Trump
$4.97
said,
was
bro?
what I
Do, do,
saw today.
do you know what Trump said? This was so I need to find it. But Trump literally goes, actually, when the price of oil goes up, we make more money. He was touting it as like a good thing.
I mean, it's true. We do make more money because it's
He
a
said,
petrodollar.
no, this is the quote. The United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a true statement. What's the problem with it?
Well, it seems like he's suggesting that rising prices of energy would be a good thing for America because we, quote, we would make a lot of money.
I don't understand why there's always a need to try to infer what's said.
Well, that's directly
right?
what's said.
That's
The United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. I understand that that's like a
right.
statement of fact. If
Right.
by
But
we mean like oil companies and I guess other people who have like a financial stake in how much money is made by the oil producers. But that's not we the American people. We the American people are worse off.
well, that would have to do with the way in which the oil market is set up. Because if I'm not mistaken, we export more oil than we import, right?
I think that's
Or
true.
no, we import more oil.
No.
We import more oil than we export?
Net exporter, yeah.
Or we're a net exporter now, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way it was. We were importing more, but we're still importing the same amount, right?
I'm not sure how
We're
much we're
just
importing
reduced.
relative to. So we are net exporters, but prices are going up because it's a global market. And thank you,
Right.
Mr.
So then slow down. So then slow down and think about this, right? It's like if we're importing, we're still importing oil, right? So we're importing oil and putting it on the market, and it's does it have a tariff associated with it?
I
Is
think
there a
that they've
tariff on this oil?
exempted. I think they exempted Canadian and some other. We're net exporters. We like most of our energy we produce domestically, but the price is going up because the markets are linked.
Well, of course they are.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the whole deal, right? So, but when prices go up, of course people make more money.
Yeah, but that's
And of course
he was like
if
elected to lower prices and lower inflation and shit.
but the government also makes more money too because taxes.
Granted,
So that's where like
but
the
they're spending it
basic
on
is
this
like
war and shit and stupid shit.
I just well, okay, now you jump to a different question, right? The
No, I know.
original
I'm just saying
question.
like people will suffer, and you're like, but guess what? The tax man will get more revenue, and I'm like, so how does that
No,
help people?
you're asking. Look, you look. You asked why, and then I go to attempt to explain why, and then you want to
Sorry for
complain.
interrupting you. You take the space. I apologize for interrupting.
So I just
Okay,
if
answer
you're
it
going to
then.
ask
Answer
why,
it. Why? Why is this okay? Why is it okay for when Biden prices go up, it's like, oh my God, this guy doesn't even know where he is. But when Trump goes up, it's like actually good.
because there's actually a plan.
What's the
You
plan?
can see the plan unfolding. Tell you what, check out Promethean action.
All right, I'll check out Promethean next.
Get up on the financial markets, and then we'll be able to explore that a little bit more because
Right.
that's where I'm sitting here, and I'm not the expert, right? But
Okay.
I can have a halfway decent conversation about it with someone that's familiar with the same material, right?
With the original texts and it's
Right.
Promethean
Promethean action.
action. Got it. Promethean action. We'll
Yep.
take a look at some of that.
Cool.
Sick.
Besides that, though, I mean, we need the border situation is good. The cartel situation is good. Europe is in trouble, I think.
What are they in trouble for?
Well, what I mean is, like, I think the
Someone says that diesel
people of
prices in
Europe
Florida
are
are higher, and that you're lying about the price of diesel in Florida. They wanted me to bring that up.
so so the signs that I literally saw off of I-75 were lying to my eyes over the last week.
Chatter, do you have a response? The signs, were they lying?
Literally lying, not just to me, but to every other driver that was bitching on the CB radio about it, right?
What do you say to that? What do you say to that? They're saying you're lying.
Oh, okay. Of course they say that because they're a dumb chatter that, you know, wants to be able to say a thing, but not have like any other way than like something that, oh, it's like statistics, right? Because you could take those and use them to justify anything, right?
The person says diesel last week in Florida 4.233, diesel today 5.074. Maybe it's different where he specifically lives. I don't know. I doubt it though. I doubt that that just where you live prices went down.
What was the price yesterday?
What was the price yesterday's Blue Bars? Uh-oh. I'm moderating a debate between CTV and and the chatters.
What was the price yesterday, bro?
5.046. That's Blue Bars.
Uh-huh. Where's this price being pulled from?
And where is this price? According to AAA,
It's got
Blue Bars.
It's got to be northern Florida, right?
It's got to be northern Florida.
That's not. It's not southern Florida because fucking diesel prices in Miami were $5.79 a gallon. Okay.
I think it's
the further south you go in Florida, the more expensive it gets.
Well, it just seems.
And I literally travel all of it pretty much, right, from Okeechobee up to like Jacksonville, right, and up to like pretty much Tallahassee too. So
seems like maybe you might have. Maybe is it possible? I'm not saying this happened. That you saw a price to the south where it's more expensive, then traveled to the north and it got cheaper because you moved there.
If I hadn't made the exact same runs and saw the exact same signs on different days and talked about it with other drivers, yeah, okay, sure, yeah. Like okay, there's this whole time during my day that didn't happen just to appease this chatter. All right,
guys. You guys, the arguments have been put forth. Put forth. You can extrapolate from that however you want. All right, but CTV has made the position quite clear, and the chatter, you have also made your position clear, and so there's no lack of clarity anymore. Everyone knows where everyone is. Okay, that's the oil update. Other things. Is there any critique you have of the current political climate, the Trumpian policies? Is there something that you think that Trump should do more? Do you have any recommendations for the guy?
I will tell you one thing that I was disappointed about.
Yeah.
Whenever he was talking about no tax on overtime.
Oh, yeah.
I believed that what that meant was that at the end of the week, you weren't going to get taxed on your overtime anymore. But no, what it turned out to be was more fucking time filling out paperwork.
Did you think?
I don't like that.
What did you think was going to happen?
Now I'm an entrepreneur and I don't have to deal with it. I literally thought that at the end of the week, they just wouldn't be taxing the overtime. They would tax your regular 40-hour pay, and anything after 40 hours, the employer wouldn't be required to pull tax money off of that anymore, right? And that the individual would be able to retain that money at the end of their check every week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, instead of having to give it to the government, wait all fucking year, right, and then get it back. That's like BS. It's essentially
yeah, you have to
giving
track
the government
right? You have to deduct it from your final.
Right. It's giving them a short-term learn that if I don't go back and get that, they're going to just keep, and that's a BS. So there's your legitimate criticism.
That's how like a lot of these tax deductions work. You have to wait till the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all BS. We should go ahead and get rid of the IRS. I thought that was the plan, right? and establish the ERS.
I don't understand. 1 second you're
So
like,
the fact
oh,
that
we're gonna
the
get more
fact that
tax
the
revenue. Now you're
IRS
like,
still
abolish
exists.
it. Who's
Yeah,
gonna
the
do our
fact that the
taxes?
IRS, the ERS,
The External Revenue Service.
exactly. You
So you
tax
just
the world.
you just want tariffs. You know that the tariffs they're paid by Americans, right?
Yeah.
It's taxing the importer.
Uh-huh.
So it's still internal.
It's a choice that someone made.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand. Isn't it still an IRS?
I'm not getting a choice in income tax, right? The fact that the 15th Amendment exists is a problem, right? It's the 15th Amendment, right? The one
Which
that
one?
allows taxes from any source derived.
No, not the 15th Amendment. This would be the
Which one?
what amendment is it? Yeah, 16. 16.
16th Amendment. Okay. So the fact that that exists is a problem because we both know that it's not a part of the original Constitution, right? So all the
Everyone
shit
knows
that
that
happened in
it was an
1913,
amendment. Of course, it wasn't part of the original because
right?
they amended the
Right.
original with this.
Right. So we got to get rid of that.
Why?
We get closer to that, I'll be happy.
You want to get rid
Well,
of the
I
16th
think that
Amendment?
absolutely.
You want less taxes?
Some bear shit in the woods. Say what? Hold on. Are you American asking the question like that?
Yeah, but you know what's you're just going to empower all of the robber barons.
Well, sounds like you need to be a robber baron.
Yeah, you just feel like you just feel you're going to become a robber baron?
I mean, that's what it takes, I reckon. Nah, man, the whole idea is free trade, right? People being able to make choices about what they're paying, right? Income tax doesn't do that. It gets set by
If
the
the whole point
government and
is
you're
free
forced to do it
trade,
whether
why
you
are you in
like it or
support
not.
of tariffs? If the whole point is free
Yeah.
trade, why are you in support of tariffs?
Yeah, free trade, as in like the ability to make choices and then participate in, not at zero cost. Come on.
That's true of all the taxes then. You could say that about all the taxes.
No. Right. So we tax the ERS, right? Taxes the world, right? They want to compete in the market.
What do you
And
mean?
they're going to have to adjust something in their production line in order to account for the tariff, right? So that they want to compete, right? That's the whole point, right? So since they want to compete, they're going to have to end up paying it somehow. So, like from the physical standpoint, yeah, you're right. The customer in America pays the tariff, but the fact that the foreign entity had to make an adjustment because of it is what creates a level playing field for American producers. So, I don't see that as a bad thing. And I'd rather tax the world than tax our own people if there's a choice. Wouldn't you?
But domestic people are making adjustments too in the following ways. Importers are changing their behaviors and consumers are unable to spend as much because their prices are higher.
That's what happens whenever you've gotten too comfortable with cheap slave labor.
So so you think what? These people would be better off if we didn't trade with them? These poor people in these other countries who are making
I think that China is a
sweatshirts?
great. I think China is a great example of how being led onto the world stage and in the markets, how much of a positive effect that it can have. Right. The 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 second or third order effects of that is like whenever that communist government starts stealing intellectual property and creates essentially a hostile marketplace for any American producers that would go over there, that's when it becomes a real need for the United States to start protecting its own. And that's what we're seeing now is something actually being done about that.
Uh-huh. All right, we're going to test if you're a real southerner, okay?
Okay.
You have to finish the phrase, okay? It's going to start out with some easy ones. Bless your...
Oh, bless your heart.
Will butter my backside and... Will butter my backside and...
I don't know, dude. I don't know. We don't be talking about butter and backsides too much, I guess.
Will butter my backside and call me a biscuit. That's the phrase.
Call me a biscuit. Okay.
Hold your...
Hold your, I don't know. Hold your temper.
Hold your horses.
Hold your horses. Okay.
You catch more flies with...
Oh, you catch more flies with, well, I usually say, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar.
All right, that's close enough. I get partial credit. You got too big.
For his britches.
Nice. That dog.
That dog ain't barking.
That dog won't hunt.
Oh, okay.
Hunt. What does it mean to say fixin' to?
Fixing to.
What did I mean?
I mean, it just fixing to.
What does it mean?
I'm about to. I
guess. Nice. All right. Okay. Preparing to do something. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Okay. We'll do a few. We'll do a few more.
There's another way you say fixing you. Fixing you.
What does that mean?
That's the same thing. Said a different way though. Fixing it.
What does it mean to say? What does it mean to say that she was madder than a wet hen?
She's jumping and squawking around, flapping, making a hell of a lot of racket.
All right, finish this. This is the last one. Finish this one. She's pretty as a...
Pretty as a picture.
Nah, pretty as a peach. Notably Georgian phrase. All right, okay, all right. Yeah. What do you guys think? What do you think? How did he do? He did decent. That was okay. What do we think, chatters? Out of 10.
How have you been, bro?
Oh,
I know you. I know you. How's the lawyer thing going?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, no, I'm doing some stuff legally. I'm also doing the streaming, which is great. Everything's cool. It's mostly just like watching my country be... I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, a lot of my brain power goes to, and maybe I should spend more time on other stuff, and I'm thinking about that. But a lot of my brain power just goes to like seeing how much we're getting fucked up the butt collectively by Trump and his goons. So
yeah, but what do you think about Mamdani and the ISIS terrorists that are throwing bombs, and how Mamdani just seems to be playing he's playing it down instead of calling it out.
I don't understand how you can say that.
He was more than willing during the interview to mention Jake Lang being a white supremacist, right?
What interview?
But
he did. He tweeted about Jake Lang, and then he mentioned what was worse, which was the terrorism.
Right, but he failed to mention at all that those people were Muslim radicals, right? That were doing it and were affiliated with ISIS. He failed to mention that whole part, but like I said, was willing to throw Jake Lang. That's what I... Okay, I'm listening to...
Hang on, let me
might have been on one of Asmongold's video, actually.
Yeah, this
might have been on one of Asmongold.
This fucker Asmongold. This guy's not a good guy. He's a bad hombre. You can't be listening to him.
I don't know. I like Asmon.
He's a bad hombre. Let's see.
What makes him a bad hombre?
Very dumb, low IQ.
Really? That's not the impression I get.
Quote, Mayor Zoran Mamdani. Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi have been charged with committing a heinous act of terrorism and proclaiming their allegiance to ISIS. They should be held fully accountable for their actions. We will continue to keep New Yorkers safe. We will not tolerate terrorism or violence in our city. And my tweet right under it said, "Thank you, sir."
When was that one sent out?
That was on March 9th, 2026.
2 days ago.
He had a previous tweet before that, before all the facts were known. Let me just look at it, where he mentioned Jake Lang. Did you see I can't confirm it, but there was a Jake Lang. There was a bit of a meme with Jake Lang. I don't know if you.
I've only seen like a few things of his name getting mentioned, but I don't know much about him.
Yesterday, this is the first reaction from Mamdani. Yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion, rooted in bigotry and racism. Such hate has no place in New York City. It is an affront to our city's values and the unity that defines who we are. What followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, it is reprehensible and the antithesis of who we are. I want to thank the brave men and women of the NYPD who acted quickly to keep New Yorkers safe. Our officers ran towards danger without hesitation, demonstrating once again the courage and dedication it takes to protect the city. My administration is closely monitoring the situation and I remain in close contact with our police commissioner. And after he got the information that they had pledged allegiance to ISIS, he condemned it. I don't understand what's wrong with anything.
Oh, well. There was also that video on X of the white guy, that was screaming on a megaphone about how we'd all live together, and then right behind him, right in the picture, was the guy throwing the bomb, screaming, "Aloha snack bar," right? So, I mean, and that was known beforehand, right? So it's like, as a Muslim, Mamdani should have been able to really easily look at that and go, "Oh, that's a radical Islamist extremist. I should probably call that out because
I think that
I should definitely know what that looks like."
I think it's appropriate for him to wait like a day. What was this? It wasn't even a day. Hang on. Yeah, it was a day to get the full facts and to find out who the fuck this person is and whether, because there are some of these people who do like troll violence. Remember, like there are people who do like the wrong message and they because they're like these nihilist people, and so I have no problem with him condemning it right away, saying this is awful, then waiting to get updated. And once we know the ideological basis 100%, or at least close to that, right? Pretty close to that, you come out and say it, right? And this is also true of a lot of how the administration, I think, has had a double standard on certain shootings where they'll, a minute they have something, they'll try to release it if it's counter to Democrats, and they'll wait if it's like bad for Republicans or whatever. I never have a problem with us just waiting to get some more facts. I think that's good to do. And so I'm glad that Mamdani did that, as opposed to just immediately go to the fucking microphones to start spouting off on stuff that he's not sure about. Like, for example, this motherfucker, I'm not even remembering his name, Kash Patel. What do you think about Kash Patel for a second? This guy's he's a cringe lord, right? You don't actually like him, do you?
I haven't seen much.
Did you see him celebrating the Olympics?
Oh,
like he's
with
a
the
player?
hockey team? Yeah, I thought that was great.
You like that?
Great.
Would you like that if James Comey did that? Would you like that?
You know what? If James Comey wasn't so corrupt, maybe he would be, like in the locker room, being an American, but probably not. It's not his scene. So.
James Comey were so corrupt. Do you understand that, like, Kash Patel, he's going on these like lavish trips on our dime and doing nothing just to like go to his girlfriend's concerts and delaying shit so that we have to like have reports that people had to drive to Charlie Kirk's the assassins, like the scene of it, in a car or something, or at least there was something like that where it took they didn't have the flight crew because they're all being used on his planes, in addition to all of the political corruption. It just feels like the guy's a clown. Not unlike Pam Bondi.
I don't know, man.
Why are you kind of mixed feelings about Pam Bondi? Why do you think that he's okay, whatever?
I haven't seen much of her do much of anything, so I just don't really have like much of an opinion. I've been trying to keep up with as much stuff as I can on X, right? But I can't keep up with everything, and that's where like some of the people I got stronger opinions about, because I, have been able to put the time towards researching it, and other people are just indifferent because, you come across a couple of things. Oh, okay, seems like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and just kind of move on, kind of thing. I think most people make discernments like that.
Okay, last topic. Last topic. In the next 5 months, we got, what is this? 8 months or so till elections. It's going to happen pretty close, this midterm election season. If you were the Republican Party, what do you think they should do to maximize their chance of winning? Should they get behind Trump 100%? Should they be given a different kind of message? What do you think what would you want to see them do to win?
Republicans, um, they just need to continue supporting what Trump is doing and trying to understand why he's doing it, like Senator Kennedy. Senator Kennedy he's doing a good job of following what he's doing and understanding the bigger picture, and he's trying to put it out there. A lot of the other ones that are in there that have any kind of a issue with it probably just aren't taking the time needed to, and they either already have a baseline of knowledge to be able to work from that allows them to be able to understand it, or they're playing catch up. And if they're playing catch up, that can be dangerous if they're opening their mouth before they're actually ready to, not be made to look like a fool because they just don't understand. So if Republicans want to continue having the kind of gains that they're having with everyday Americans, right? Then they gotta, because most people, I mean, the people that support Trump understand what's going on on the world stage. They understand that globalism hasn't served the American people. They understand that we need to have manufacturing jobs returned to the country so that, we can put people back to work and be able to make a living for themselves. And it's been the removal of these industries that's allowed for the cartels to be able to get such a hold on the American people with drugs because they literally didn't have any other opportunities being presented to them. So it's a whole big picture mess that Trump is trying to tackle, and I think that he's been studying the problem for a long time. I think that he is after legacy more than anything else, and I don't see that someone that's after legacy, right, in a good way, is going to make the kinds of mistakes that end up leading to negativity that gets remembered in the long term, right? Because, some people would have said that other figures from our past would have been problematic in their present, but we look at it in the future and see a lot different reality. So that's the kinds of moves that I see him making, is those kinds where 10, 20 years from now, we look back and we go, thank God President Trump was in office and he was making decisions that he made on behalf of our people so that we end up having another 250 years of stability. And, the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and
Careful.
tyrants.
You're not
And
advocating for
oh,
anything, though.
I'm not of course not. But the fact of the matter is that whether it's through an actual bloodshed or through a spiritual bloodshed, right? The fact that on May 17th, there's going to be a prayer held in Washington, D.C. to rededicate our nation to Christ is something that I am going to be a part of. And I feel like it's definitely the direction that the country needs to head, because it doesn't really matter whether anyone is religious or not. You can't look at Jesus' teachings and think that he was advocating for anything but, trying to love your neighbor. You know what I mean? But he also drew lines where,
Like Canada is getting some
he said,
pushback that they deserve.
what,
Our neighbor to the north.
after they booed the anthem, bro, like
They booed.
they
Wait. They booed the anthem after Trump said that they're going to take over their country. You would boo the
that's
anthem
okay.
of Canada too.
Look, I tell you what, if what's his name, Justin Trudeau, right? If he come out and said, we're gonna come take over America, you really think that Americans are gonna boo Canada because of that? No.
Well, maybe not, because
They're not gonna,
Canada could never do it, but America could do it. They could invade and take
if
over.
if we were going to invade and take over Canada, right?
It's just seen more as a threat when America does it, because they can and are willing to intervene like that at times.
I'll tell you what, if Canada ever ends, if the Canadian people end up getting taken over by a radical Islamic regime and they're begging in the streets for
When is that
somebody to
going to
come help them out,
happen?
and then that regime ends up killing them to the tune of 30 and 40,000,
You'll be there.
right? Then I'll be there, right?
All right.
Let's jump the border. Let's go free our Canadian. But until then, right? It's all like, especially that's what's so great about hockey, right? I mean,
yeah?
they need to stop putting. Yeah, they don't. They need to stop with the rule stuff, though, right? They gotta keep hockey. Otherwise, it'll end up like the NFL, and you don't want that. The
You
NFL
sure
is
don't.
horrible.
And on that note, CTV, listen, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for giving me 2 of your hours. I mean, this was a nice little chill, catch up or whatever. But we disagree on a lot, but I do appreciate you stopping by, and I do appreciate your input on these things. I'll have to watch this Prometheus thing and look a little bit more about the physics of water freezing and dinosaurs.
Well, we can definitely revisit that conversation in the future. And I always like talking to you, man.
Well,
And I always like it whenever we're able to be chill like this too, you know?
I know. Sometimes it's not always the time and place for full on debate. But I appreciate your input, and we'll talk again real soon. Okay.
Sounds good, brother. Talk to you later.
Later.